Hey folks, it's Bob Plaschke. Happy New Year. This is the Facebook Live of 2019 for us. I am the CEO of Sonim Technologies. We make mobile devices, mobile solutions, handsets, accessories, applications for folks who do the work that makes our cities run, the folks that serve us, as we would say. Today, we're joined with Curt Bashford, who's the CEO of General Devices. Good afternoon, Curt. Thanks for coming on the show with us.
Good afternoon to you, Bob, and thanks for inviting us.
Well, of course. Curt, as I learned, is a former EMT operator himself, has a number of his family members involved in the business, and has been working for many years at General Devices to bring software applications that really connect hospitals and EMS, make that process work.
So at General Devices, or GD as we go by, we enable smarter care and smarter communications from typically field applications such as EMS, emergency medical services, back to where we used to just say the hospital, but in today's healthcare, that's back to wherever the appropriate care providers are. So it may be in the home, back to the emergency department. It may be to a specialist somewhere up on the floor in the hospital, or in another locale altogether as healthcare and mobile healthcare evolves. That's our specialty and our sweet spot and we've been in that niche of the market since about 1990, so for a number of years. So we've seen a lot and experienced a lot. We have some great technology and some great partners like Sonim, in order to make some of these things that we've been talking about for years a real possibility today.
I can imagine that software applications that make the communication between the EMS personnel and the hospital, super important, and both in terms of engaging initially and then also in terms of the transport, in terms of what might happen on the way to kind of taking them back. I hope that's a fair assessment.
Absolutely.
Walk us through that. Just give us some color to that notion of this, how important time is, some examples in terms.
So a quick example in stroke care is one of the acute care type illnesses that the technology addresses. It's it's a hot button today, as are a number of other ones. But in a stroke where you've lost blood flow to the brain, you lose approximately 2 million brain cells per minute. So there's your perfect time example. So in the case of stroke, time is brain. In case of a heart attack, time is heart muscle. So that anything we can do, in manufacturing or industry, you talk about processes and leaning out processes and finding bottlenecks and reducing those constraints so you get better throughput. Healthcare is not a whole lot different if you look at it as a process. So if that process begins in the field where the EMS and you have an injury on the road, or you have an illness and they come to your home or to your business, it begins then. Medics do their assessment, they begin their treatment, they may be consulting with a physician at the hospital, ultimately transporting you, and then you get to the hospital ED, the next level of care begins. We can capture some of that pre-hospital time and allow the hospital to be better prepared for when you arrive, such that you're not getting there and then it begins. They're pre-arrival assembling teams, clearing out CAT scan machines, notifying the interventional, whether it be neurologists or cardiologists or a trauma team or a sepsis team, whatever the treatment is. Getting those all set up to save those, as you said, seconds, which turn into minutes, which equate to brain cells and lives and outcomes.
Can you walk me through just a couple of use cases where the combination of your software plus the phone, the ability to transmit kind of confidently that information over a prioritized network, whether it be Verizon or AT&T's FirstNet, or
sure,
and what benefits, kind of what the problem is, and how our software and hardware work together to kind of solve that problem.
Sure. So Up until, more recently, the communications from the field to the ED or to wherever has been voice communications. Picture's worth 1,000 words. One of the docs said a video must be worth 1,000,000 then. So there's certain things that you can communicate by voice and certain things that are difficult to communicate by voice. There's a story I like to tell. A bad traffic accident, husband's got some trauma, wife is okay, she's in the back of the ambulance, and the medics on the radio talking to the hospital, trying to relay all the mechanism of injury, because that's important to the trauma surgeons. What are we potentially looking for? What the injuries are, and all the information. And this is all by voice. And at the other end, they're trying to put that together. And the wife's observing this, and she says, you guys can't do video? She says, I Skype with my daughter at college. Why can't you do this in public safety? And it tells you right there. So, this is what we call mobile telemedicine. And telemedicine is a broad term these days. You think hospital to hospital, hospital to clinic, or to a prison, or something like that, where you're getting the specialists out to where they need to be. And it's really no different for EMS, except in doing this with EMS, that's the challenging environment. We're now in the wired mobile environment. So, network's important, and the devices that you're on are important. How do we put all this together? It's easy to do in the hospital, where we can plug in the Ethernet cable or got great Wi-Fi. And it's not a robust, requirement. As you mentioned, with the devices, being able to clean them. If you're out in a muddy, bloody environment, that becomes an important factor. So while we can run on a multitude of platforms, being able to run on a rugged device that also has features such as the louder speaker and a more sensitive microphone. So when you're on the side of the road, or you're in even the home that's got a lot of bells and whistles and noise going on, that you're not having to repeat yourself. The medics are there and the EMTs are there to take care of the patient, not to work technology. If the technology takes away from the patient care, it's not adding value. So our job is the application, and with eBridge, our mobile telemedicine application, is to add to the value, help them do their jobs better, help the hospital get better prepared, and streamline that flow. So we're kind of at the perfect intersection between what we do as a use case application on a mobile rugged device, and then couple that with a robust network such as the FirstNet ATT. Then you kind of got the perfect storm of these things that we've been trying to do for years. If I'm just want to describe a mechanism of injury, what's the car look like? A picture is perfectly fine for that. If I'm just telling them I'm coming in and here's the vital signs and our ETA, a secure text message is fine for that. If I want to consult with the physician and we need to do more interactive video clip or live streaming video, with all those pieces coming together, we have the ability to do that and really change what's possible in that healthcare.
No, it makes sense. And so basically what you're saying is they can now capture voice, video, and pictures. They can communicate that over a network, cellular network like FirstNet or Verizon or Sprint, that provides that kind of necessary throughput and bandwidth. They can then, and then your software connects that voice, video, text in a safe, secure way to the hospital or wherever they're headed. And eBridge is the software platform that runs on the top, at least of our device, amongst other platforms, that gives those paramedics that chance to connect in that way.
It is correct.
Picture says 1,000 words, you're saving the 1,000 words being said, right? And so
it does, and it gives them more information. So in healthcare, there's an issue with what they call patient handoffs, and in this case, EMS to the emergency department is one handoff. Handoff from the ED up to somebody else is another. Those are places where errors can happen, information can get lost. So we move this into this digital world. We have robust information that is sticky and can stay with the patient. And what did the medics tell us? Well, we have it documented, we have it recorded. It's not watered down third-hand information. Another aspect of it is, and again, one of the thrusts in healthcare is appropriate care, appropriate place. That place may not be the hospital. So maybe that we want to keep them in the home. So there's a facet of EMS called mobile integrated healthcare and community paramedicine, and different variants of that and different programs within it. But it's an emerging area where they may be taking care of high utilizers and channeling them better than multiple trips to the hospital each week. Because hospitals now get penalties and fines if you have to get readmitted, essentially a warranty, if you would, by Medicare. And that can get quite expensive. So, this aha moment that, prevention's worth a pound of cure. They can utilize groups like EMS and other MIHCP providers to manage patients in the home. Now we're talking about patients with different illnesses and such. So having that telemedicine connectivity back to the practitioner or back to the hospital, wherever the appropriate point is, that can help them make better decisions rather than the cure-all of go ahead and transport, which is an expensive way to do it.
With the Western Fire Chiefs Association, we're doing a summit on homelessness,
Mm-hmm.
where they spend a considerable amount of time on folks in that condition. To your point, where going to the hospital is not actually the right answer.
Right.
They have to kind of treat and serve them where they are, and kind of manage them through kind of, to your point, a high repeat rate. These are all new challenges that where I think the combination of software and hardware and kind of a good service environment, a good network, all or at least are tools to help these folks do their jobs better, kind of on a day-to-day basis.
They're a clever bunch. They figure out how to do more with less, and how to utilize technology in different ways. And we're often surprised by the innovations that they come up with. And our tagline is responsive innovation, but they're the responsive ones. They know what their needs are and how to go and solve that.
Curt, thank you so much for taking the time. This was exactly kind of what the doctor ordered. I wanted to get a sense of the kind of some of the challenges that EMS personnel face, some of the innovations in software and hardware that that we together are an example of, not
Sure.
An example. Thanks for all the work you do. If folks wanted to learn more about you and the company, where would they go?
So feel free to contact me directly, but certainly a website, www.general-devices.com. And my email, cbashford@general-devices.com, and happy to answer any questions and share what we've learned over the years, because that's how all this stuff advances: sharing technology, sharing innovations, and sharing use cases, and elevating everybody.
Folks, this is Bob Plaschke. Thanks for joining us on our Facebook Live. This is we are Sonim Technologies. We serve those who serve us. Everyone be safe and have a great week. Thanks very, very much.
Thanks, Bob.